The A-League men's competition is one of the most unpredictable leagues to watch, and of course, we all do our ladder predictions heading into the new campaign. So let's take a look back at my ladder prediction for this 2024-25 A-League men's season and see how we went. Starting off in last place, and this is where it's already a bad start here, Western United. But I'll tell you what, I'd be surprised if many people tipped Western United to even finish in the top six. They've sort of been on a downwards trend over the last few years. But this season, they absolutely turned it around. They did it with not many huge names in their squad. It was a lot of the players who were there from previous seasons, with the likes of Thurgate, Bozanovsky, Danzaki, Grimaldi, some younger players from their academy. Dylan Leonard was fantastic this season. He was a real breakout star this season in the A-League. Another young player, Noah Botic, took his game to another level as well for Western United. And everything just came together for Western United, finishing third in the end. It was an incredible season for them. And they were so close to securing Champions League football as well. They were just 1 point behind Melbourne City, who finished second in the end. So they certainly proved me wrong this year, John Aloisi's team. In 12th place on my ladder prediction, I had Newcastle Jets, and they ended up finishing in 9th place, a little bit higher than I expected. They did do well in the end, especially the second half of the season. They had some really promising results and promising performances. The likes of Eli Adams and Lockie Rose had good seasons. Kota Mizunuma, the mid-season signing, was fantastic as well. But overall, the consistency just really hurt them. They had some really, fantastic high moments throughout this campaign, but ultimately not enough to really push and challenge the top six. Now, spoiler alert, I didn't get a single prediction spot on here, but I think this is the closest one I got. Brisbane Roar, I had them in at 11th. They did finish 12th in the end. I was anticipating Brisbane Roar to have a poor season. I don't think I was expecting them to have as bad of a season as they did have in the end. They ended the campaign with 5 wins off 26 games, but, a few of those wins came in the last couple months of the season. They were really, really poor for such a long time. The team that they put together for this season just for whatever reason just didn't click. The results just did not come for them. They're in a really tough spot at the moment, and they went the way I sort of expected them to go this season. In 10th place, I had Perth Glory, who did pick up the wooden spoon this season. Glory, they're a funny one. For the last few years now, obviously they've had some huge struggles in past seasons, Perth Glory, and each year they do a big squad rebuild, and it looks like they're already doing the same thing for next season. And there's always some signings in there that make you go, okay, maybe Glory finally going to turn things around this season. Maybe they have what it takes to at least challenge for the top six, but they were completely played off the park in so many games this season. Just so poor. It started off with conceding 6 goals away to Macarthur SC in round 1. A lot of mid-season departures, mid-season arrivals, trying to get things back on track. A couple wins here and there. They managed to defeat Auckland FC. They defeated Adelaide with a big win at home as well. They were rebuilding for next campaign. It's so early on in the off-season, but they've already made some convincing signings. Maybe next year is finally the year that Perth Glory do bounce back and push up the table. In 9th place, I had Adelaide United. Now, halfway through the season, this was looking like a disastrous prediction, but as the season wore on, it got a little bit closer. They did finish 6th in the end, Adelaide, but you might remember, it was like January. They were sitting in the top 2. It looked like we were on track for an Auckland-Adelaide grand final. Those two teams were running things for the first few months of the season. Then Adelaide just completely collapsed for the second half of the campaign. It was really astonishing what happened there. The reason why I called them to finish 9th was because of a lot of those departures. Nestor Irankunda had left, Ibisuki, Ben Halloran. They'd lost some key personnel, and I thought maybe this was a season where they were going to slip down a little bit. So in the end, overall, it was a decent season for Adelaide, but they will be concerned with the way they slipped off, but they did finish higher than what I predicted. This next one's a pretty bad one at the end. Melbourne City, the champions of this past season. I predicted them to finish 8th. They finished 2nd. They won the Champions Trophy as well. This was a fantastic season for Melbourne City. They were defensively just incredible at the back, so solid and really strong at home. They were just putting in solid performances week in, week out. I'm not even sure why I predicted them to finish 8th. You might remember the season before. They just managed to sneak into finals. They finished 6th. Thought with some of the departures that it had as well heading into this season that they may well keep slipping down. Aurelia Vidmar did a fantastic job this season with a team who went through a lot of injuries this campaign. We shouldn't forget so many of their players. Andrew Naboot, Marco Tilio missed a chunk of the season. Lackey was out for a lot of the season as well. They managed to finish in the top 2 and win the championship. This has been an incredible season for Melbourne City. I got this one definitely very wrong. I had the new boys, Auckland FC, finishing in 7th place. It was a tricky one to predict, of course. A new team, but they were unbelievable this campaign. First place, Premier's Plate in their inaugural campaign. Congratulations to Auckland FC. 15 wins, 8 draws, 3 losses. I didn't doubt their team. They had what it took, I think, to push into finals. And I think I remember saying in my original ladder prediction video that I would be surprised if Auckland do push into finals. They had Steve Corica, who knows what it takes to get a team playing finals football. They'd built a good squad with plenty of New Zealand players and brought in some top A-League players as well, you know, with especially with the likes of Jake Brimmer coming in, Dan Hall as well. There was a team that was capable of pushing into the top six, but, you know, I don't think anyone was brave enough to call Auckland to finish first in their inaugural season. So an incredible job for them. And it'll be interesting to see how they go next campaign. I expect them to be strong once again. Time for the top six. I had Wanderers in sixth place for me. They finished fourth in the end, so not too far off. This was a very good campaign for Western Sydney Wanderers. They really did get clicking under Alan Stadjic. They built a squad that was very strong. Krajev coming in. The strike partnership of Zapsford and Borrello was dangerous. Milanovic, obviously, an incredible season for him, winning the Johnny Warren medal as well. Juan Mata was obviously the star signing for them, but he was, you know, a bench player more often than not, just coming off the bench here and there, unfortunately. This was a good season for Western Sydney Wanderers. I think I got close enough with this prediction in the end. In fifth place, I had my team, the Central Coast Mariners. Now, Mariners did certainly drop off this season, finishing 10th in the end, 5 wins off 26 games. As a Mariners fan, obviously incredibly disappointed with this campaign, but I think the one thing that obviously no one can predict is the injuries that Mariners sustained in the early part of the campaign. I think we shouldn't forget that. The injury to Brad Tapp was monumental. That completely derailed things in midfield and defence for the Mariners. Ryan Edmondson missed a lot of the season. DiPizio was out for the first, 4 or 5 months of the campaign as well. First team players were out with injury for a long period of time, and that certainly affected things for Mariners. I think Mariners may well have finished a little bit higher on the ladder if it wasn't for those injuries. But aside from that, not going to make any excuses. We didn't play well enough in plenty of games this season. Mariners in 10th, they certainly finished lower than what I expected. And it's a similar story for Wellington Phoenix. I called them to finish 4th after an incredible campaign last time around. They finished 11th in the end. They just really struggled in attack. Wellington Phoenix, just 27 goals in 26 games, just 6 wins this campaign. They obviously had a magical season the season prior. They were 1 game away from the grand final. They finished in the top 2. What a season it was. And I think we were all expecting Wellington to be up there once again. But, a lot of those departures, I think, hurt them in the end. When you think of the players they did lose for this past season, Ben Old, Finn Sermon, Oscar Zavada, Božidar Krajev, so many key players who were crucial to that success the season prior. Alex Paulson obviously going to their rivals Auckland as well. It was tough for Wellington. They just weren't able to recover this season, and a finish in a bottom 4 for them this year. I had really high hopes for MacArthur SC heading into this A-League season, and I think a lot of that was coming off their success in the Australia Cup. I was expecting them to finish 3rd. They ended up finishing 8th. Again, just the inconsistency hurting them. They had some performances where they looked unbelievable. Marin Jaklic was fantastic for them this season. Ultimately, that sudden mid-season departure of Elijah really hurt them in the end. Not just him, but they lost Arias Piol, they lost Jed Drew, they lost Ollie Jones, and those departures, I think, did affect the team in the end. Heading into the season, I made the statement that Melbourne Victory had the best squad depth in the competition, and I stand by that, and that's the reason why I did call them to finish in 2nd place. They finished 5th, they made it to the grand final, lost the grand final to Melbourne City. Obviously, the sudden departure of Patrick Osnorbo has to be taken into consideration. That derailed things a little bit. Arthur Dillis did a decent job of getting things back on track, and they navigated the final series really well. Getting past Auckland FC was a huge achievement for them. That was the real highlight of the season. Considering they finished 5th is probably quite disappointing for Victory in the end. And when you look at their season, when you analyse how they went, they finished 5th in the regular season, lost the grand final. I wonder how Victory fans will view this season. Is this season a success for Melbourne Victory? I don't know. I think considering the squad they had, they should have finished higher up on the ladder. I called them to finish 2nd. A 5th place finish, look, isn't terrible, don't get me wrong, but a club the size of Melbourne Victory with the players they had should be pushing top 2 every season. And this is the big one that I think a lot of people were calling the same thing as well. Sydney FC, I tipped them to win the Premier's Plate this season. They completely missed out on finals football. This is the real shock. I think, look, I got a lot of predictions wrong in this ladder prediction. I think this is the one I'm the most shocked with. I think a lot of you guys can agree. Sydney FC, they had the team to do it. Douglas Costa was very good this season. He was obviously the high-profile signing for Sydney FC this campaign. But Adrian Segacic returned, and he was fantastic. Joe Lolly was good this campaign. Patrick Lamala was dangerous. Just in defence, it just fell apart for them. I mean, a lot of talk around the goalkeeper position. Andrew Redmayne was the starter heading into the campaign. Harrison Devonish-Mears took over. And at the back line, they were just chopping and changing so much there. I mean, you might remember Ryan Grant had a big stint this season playing centre back. They brought in Alex Grant, which, settled things a little bit, but they just really struggled to keep clean sheets this season, Sydney FC. And it hurt them in the end, just missing out on finals. This was a disastrous campaign for Sydney FC. I think it deserves that word. I think they built a really, really strong team, and they needed to finish higher. Even if their defense wasn't necessarily that strong, maybe it's not as strong as other teams in competition, you look at just the wealth of experience and quality in attack and in midfield, they had enough there. Look, maybe you can look at the Asian Champions League 2 when they had to juggle that as well. They had to at least finish in the top 6. That was an absolute minimum. So for this side to finish in 7th place, to miss out on finals football is, for me, one of the biggest disasters in recent history in the A-League men's competition. So there's a look back at my ladder prediction from this past season. I didn't do very well in the end. Some pretty poor calls in the end, but hey, as we know, the A-League men's competition always so hard to predict. Make sure to stay subscribed for A-League content throughout this off-season. Thanks guys for tuning in. Make sure to hit the like button on the way out. My name's Lockie, and I'll see you in the next one.